Here where we're all here, and then also because this is only slated to go until 1 o'clock, this gives us the opportunity during lunch to say like, hey, you said this earlier and we need to connect about that, which I think is really valuable. So a little bit as to how my mind works. I need to kind of compartmentalize, and I need to put a time stamp on something to know that I've done something effectively. So here's what I envision as kind of a great way to think about proceeding in this conversation. It's 12:15. That allows us to kind of really dig deep for 15 minutes on diversity alone, gender parity alone, and inclusion alone. Now, all those things are going to end up overlapping in some way, but let's make sure we hit those headlines. And then, so if you can hold us accountable to a little bit of that time, that would be amazing.
Oh my God, I'm becoming a stage manager.
And the next piece of that is, I'm very clear about what we want. I'm very clear about the need. And Margaret Ann, I am appreciative of the way you stated this is not a problem to be solved, but it's an opportunity for expansion. And because we're dealing with a member service organization, right, this is an opportunity to talk about support, and not just about like, hey Julie, right, but also like, hey Henry, support me in this way. Hey Joan, how do we do it with our boards, right? Like, it's an opportunity for us to figure out what support we need to get the work done that we need to get done. And if we're all on the same accord about the support and also about the work that needs to get done, it'll happen across many layers, right? It'll happen institutionally. It'll happen for individual artists. It'll happen for the betterment of our theater community. Does that sound like it works? Yes? So, diversity, go. Yeah.
I want to ask a question about like what can producers do? So on the audition calls, we always put, you know, everybody's welcome, please come, please come. But I'm not sure what else to do to get more people of diversity to come.
So here's a suggestion. I think we need to figure out where these calls are going to, right? Because unfortunately, not everyone is a member of StageSource. Not everyone is going the traditional route of finding roles, right? So what are our community resources, and how do we tap into them? And also, how do we figure out a way and hi, my name is Summer, and I'm sometimes very blunt. How do we figure out how to not make this, hey, black director, black producer, I need black people, right? Mm-hmm. How do we not have that conversation around it? But it's more of a holistic, we're looking for X, and everyone in the community is a part of helping us to find X. Yeah. Is that doable?
Yeah.
Well, one thing, I mean, the Lyric just recently did an open house, specifically geared towards getting in a diverse population. And I think it was very successful, frankly. Spiro was you know, gave a little talk.
Artistic or audience? Sorry to interrupt.
Artistic. And
Really about
One thing that Spiro said it's about this is we just did Chinglish, and the lead actress, Celeste Oliva, Spiro asked why he had never seen her before. And she said, well, I didn't think I'd be right for any of the roles. So he just wanted to break down that. Yes. I don't think I should go self-censorship, restraining yourself.
Right.
Already casting the show.
Right, but it's about making people feel welcome.
Right.
And so you can't get people in unless you make them feel welcome, whether it's on the artistic side, audience, backstage, whatever it is. So you have to make a place for that and reach out, and it's more than just putting it in your call. It's much more than putting it in your call.
So how better to reach out? I mean, this open house is great, but did he reach the right audience?
I think he did. I mean, seeing the faces that were there, there were a lot of faces that I hadn't seen before.
How did he get the word out? How did he do it? How did he get the word out?
Well, he reached out through StageSource.
Yeah, we sent out to our Diversity, Inclusion, and Gender Parity Task Force. And then we put on Facebook and social media to death. And also, you know, you guys also reached out to specific people to say, invite people, let them know. I think this is a catch-22 in so many ways, because people do tend to opt themselves out sometimes, and Don Simmons wrote a blog post for StageSource about actors, like show up. And would specifically call and say, why are they having trouble finding you? Why is anyone having trouble finding you? I mean, I run StageSource, I'm a membership organization. I'm gonna say, I think the more people who are members and the bigger we can make that pool, the better we all are. I'm also, but it's also diversity, stage managers, designers, directors, playwrights in the offices. It's not, so at the Tony Awards, right? We had actors of color winning awards. When the producers went up, this was not diversity 101, right? This was the reality of theater. And so we can look really great on stage, and we can all, but it's more than that. It is systemic, as Adam said, it's everything. So, and that's hard, and that's what we have to tackle.
Can I just dial back for 1 second, because this is a concrete thing that I've been wanting to say for a while, to volunteer to do. So this year in our audition calls for Underground Railway Theater, we tried out some new language, and as we were doing it, we were like scouring the internet, could not find any guidelines about how to so what I wanted to do was be as honest as possible in our audition call, and it was really, really hard. So I think what we ended up doing, so I'm directing a play called Sela next year that has, it's a cast that's, it takes place in the Canadian Arctic. So there's like English Canadian characters, French Canadian characters, and Inuit characters. Now basically I don't expect like English Canadians, French Canadians, and Inuit actors to be in this play, And so I was like, how do I encourage the best group of actors to come to this audition call? So we ended up with some language, and we struggled with it, especially around disability. And we ended up with something that was like, the producers would be happy to discuss the demands of each role with any interested actor. We welcome inquiries, please contact us at this number. And people actually did, and that's the first time we've ever been really direct about that. But so anyway, I would just say, for something I would like to do, and maybe we could do it together or something, would be to like put together like a resource sheet for producers with some suggested language, and so there's other folks who maybe would like to join in on that. But having been part of the national conversation just recently, there's this cohort of organizations that are being brought together by TCG to have a diversity and inclusion like pilot institute that are going to be doing resource creation for folks all around the country, and this doesn't exist. So I'm like, oh, well, we should just make it. So let's make it.
Yeah.
Yes, Joe?
I also think it's important that we think about it not as a one-shot thing. So Lyric Stage did this one thing, and that gets the ball rolling. But there have to be 10 other things that Lyric Stage does if it's going to stick. And probably when you do the 8th thing, you'll find out there's 16 more things, that you can do. It just keeps, burgeoning. But I think that's a mindset that's important, that it's a program, not an event.
Let me go 1, 2, 3.
So, as somebody who auditions frequently, I am constantly struck by society's recommendation and guidelines that beauty is very specific. Beauty is 5'8", beauty is white, beauty is long hair, beauty is a figure that matches. Beauty are these things, and for somebody on one side of the table trying to convince the other person or people on the other side of the table that the standard definition of beauty does not apply to me because I'm super special, and look at how talented I am. Your creativity does not have to match these standards. You can still sell tickets even if you don't match these standards. For somebody who's supposed to be super creative, on the other side of the table, you've got them imagining in their head, okay, so the female lead should not be 5'2", should not be 165 pounds, because clearly fat people can't fall in love or dance. She has to be straight. he has to be 6'1" and he has to have lots of muscles, and if he has a weird squeaky voice, then he can't, even if he sings like a dream. So if you have people on your stage that are beautiful, but also of different race and different size and different physicality, you can convince your audience that because this person has a physical disability that you might not see when you're talking to her, if she's on stage, you can convince other people in the disabled community that it is a safe place to be in the audience or to get up on the stage. It doesn't matter. If you can share your experience via this character, you can reach to other people by including people in your casts. And maybe it's a bad idea to say, you're a black person, you're a disabled person, you're an Asian person, you're super short, or a small person, rather a little person, excuse me. In the beginning, if you're reaching out to other organizations saying, we want to be inclusive, why not bring them on? Make a point of saying, we are doing our darndest to be inclusive, we want everybody to be involved. And then, by adding these people in, making a point of saying to the broader community, look at what we're doing, and we're not doing it just so you come, but so people feel safe. And then keep inviting them back, not because it's a marketing thing, but because you truly enjoyed working with these people out there. If you do it once, it's a marketing scheme. If you continue to do it, it's a positive, sincere act of inclusivity.
Thank you. So I'm mindful of time, and in terms of forward movement, right? I think what you said is beautiful. Make me do something with that, right? So then say my responsibility is to go back and do this with the artistic director. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, no. I think it's important for us to frame it by we need to do this now.
I try to do it on my blog. I talk about it. So
right. And that's important, right? Because as a blogger, and you're allowing us press and airspace, right? Yeah. By recognizing what's working there, right? You're also giving a heads up to other people who might want to get you. This is a way to do that, right? To get your platform. I forget what I said. Who was two?
I think I was two.
Okay, go.
I think I was two. Okay, and I have to bounce back to something Henry had mentioned. I think one of our main responsibilities, especially if our theaters have education, I'm a total educational component, but if our theaters have educational components, we have to make our young people realize that they cannot they can't take themselves out of the running. We have to encourage our young people to try out for the roles, to do the roles, and encourage our directors to be more open. And that's a huge, huge thing. Because our young people take themselves, my kids will say, I'm not going to try out for that because I'm not right for the part. Why aren't you right for the part? Because I don't look like the part. Well, how can you say that? They really drop them. And our responsibility as people who work with kids, students, is to push them forward and say, try out, and encourage our directors to be more open.
You were third. Sorry.
First of all, I just want to say that the Lyric doesn't think that one open house is it and we're done. That is, we hope, the first of our open houses, but also we hope it's also part of a process going forward. It's part of what Spiro is saying to every guest director who's working for us in this season. It's not something we're putting a quota on, but we are strongly encouraging every director to be thinking in the most open terms possible. I want to say just one quick word. Poor Paul Dano is going to be so sorry he sent that. And I think in his defense, that looks like the part can be something quite broad. When Spiro asked Celeste why she hadn't come to audition for us before, it's because he saw her and saw this terrifically talented traditional leading lady who happens to be Asian. She's smart, she's talented, she's beautiful, she's great to work with. There are a lot of opportunities for her that would have existed in past seasons if she hadn't selected out. And hopefully that we can make that message clear in the future so that actors will
take advantage of the fact that scripts are at StageSource and come in with an audition that sells you as Tartuffe or Gon. I could completely see you.
Yeah, I know, that's what I was like, what are you talking about?
But we want to be open, we want to be partners in that.
Brava, Sarah.
And then we're at 2 minutes, and also I have again, let's think concrete, right? So the thing, Joan and Kathy, that I have a very quick concrete idea.
No.
Thank you, Kathy.
So action items, right?
Yes,
We're talking
yes,
about how we want
all
all this
action.
to change, but both of you said, showing up to auditions, you might have someone who's saying, you can totally do an ingenue, you can totally do an ingenue, you can totally do an ingenue, you go, the person says you're not an ingenue, you can't do that. So I think crafting and I don't know, maybe I'm not aware of it, but have you guys crafted a mission statement, the large theaters in the company, and all gotten on board and said, this is something that we, as the Boston theater community, we are committed to this, and this is our promise to our community and to our audiences. Because I think if you guys crafted something like that, and
Declaration of intent.
yeah, it would really at least be something to put out there. And then small action items can come from it.
Absolutely.
And to piggyback just one, then to force your creative people to cling to that, regardless of whatever you're putting on. So.
We need to move forward in our conversation, I think, with gender parity, but I think one thing, I'm thinking as a StageSource board member now, we should think about generating a membership that's based on simply being on an audition list that maybe is at a Facebook level, something to that effect. So one, they have to pony up because work is expensive. Two, it's an opportunity for people who may not be able to afford full membership or question the fruit of full membership to experience membership. Thank you. Then we have a kind of a constant stream, so the legwork is still there, but you're not just going to the same people all the time. Yeah? Gender parity.